to make AI accessible to masses. We're going to hear success stories from partnering with Microsoft for AI. So in our next presentation, you're going to explore how Microsoft and its partners are making advanced agentic AI applications accessible to a wider range of businesses, how to build multi-agent systems and complex query capabilities to stay future ready. Now, the next segment is brought to you by Digital Industry Singapore, DISG, NUS Enterprise, and Microsoft. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome our final speaker for day 3 here at the Beyond stage, founder of TNE.ai, to give the presentation. Please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Rich Tong. Welcome. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Wow, I look so good there, don't you think? Let's see. First of all, thank you, Will. Just so you know, I'm a longtime Microsoft employee. I spent 12 years there, and I will tell you that working with Microsoft, particularly here in Singapore, is one of the most important things you can do. So we are based in the US, and we're on our way to moving to here in Singapore. And what I'd like to share with you is how we use Microsoft products to create that mass adoption. So, you know, if you listen to all these presentations, doesn't it seem like it's easy to build an AI application? Who here thinks it's super easy to build an AI application, just get it out? No, in fact, it's super hard. Despite all the great tools that have been created, the RAND Group did a study, 80% of these AI projects people are not super happy about. And one of the reasons for this is that building these things is very difficult. So we're going to talk about a solution today which is a much easier way to build these agentic AI applications. We've been working on it for a while at Total Neural Enterprises. And I think the why now is pretty obvious. You've seen from our Microsoft presenters, the resources are there, the go-to-market's there, and the technical platform is there, and we're big betters of that. So here's some statistics that are, I think, sort of interesting. So the RAND Corporation did a survey last year about AI projects, and actually the number was 80% were in failure mode. Now that doesn't mean you're not getting benefit from them, that just means you're not hitting the expectations that you want. And when you ask yourself why that is, there's a bunch of causes, and I was just talking to a CEO here, and he gave me the 3 reasons, and I thought I'd share them with you. The first is, you know, when you use ChatGPT or a product, it just seems so easy. You just type something in and you get it and it works. When you're trying to build a real enterprise system, it's much, much harder to make it work right every time for 100,000 times. The second thing is what we think of as the try-or-rejector problem. Who here has had a large language model hallucinate on them and give them something that wasn't quite true? If you're not raising your hand, I know that you're just bored and tired. There's a lot of bolt-on products, and by the way, this is from a slide product I just used. I tried to get it to say useful products, and this is what it gave me: RUHSEDEEPRDOTC in big, bright, bold letters. How many times does that happen? So this is causing a lot of problems because when you introduce an enterprise product, it doesn't work. People aren't happy with you. The third problem is there are over 12,000 new computer science research papers coming out every month. That means in the course of this presentation, there are 30 new papers someone in here should be reading. So just keeping up with that is impossible. And of course, I just listed, you know, the terms of art: LLMs, AI, vibe coding, agents. The terminology is changing like crazy, and it's hard to figure out what's really right. And so I think there's an unfulfilled need here, which is how to make these things massively accessible. And I want to tell you that Azure is a very key component of that. Let me explain why. So it turns out getting from 80% failure rate to 95% rate is not just about the technology. So I want to explain to you the 3 pieces that we have built running on Microsoft infrastructure that makes it easier. And the first is a funny thing. It's not technical. It's having real people share knowledge. Yes, AI is really great, but we found that our company has to provide white glove advisory services, because the question is not should I do AI, but what should I do? One of the important things that we do around the world is we have these AI hubs, which are every 6 months. We sit down with all the people we work with and say, here's what's changed in the world, and here's how you should think about your strategy again. Because if you're in the AI business and you're not changing your technical strategy about once every 120 days, come talk to me later because there's something wrong. I would also say that Microsoft as a learning partner is really important. The technical features that the other two presenters talked about are really important, but the most important thing is what is really going to make a difference. And so thinking about Microsoft as a partner for your education is just as important as thinking about that company as a technical provider. Now, the second thing is a little unintuitive as well. We built a project called Compass, and it is really a tool for the CEO, for the decision maker, to figure out where are those fast ROI projects. We're not in the world now where you can wait 4 years for some ROI. So we've built an agentic system. Yes, it is an agent system. It's helping you think about your business problems. Just so you know, I've been doing this for a long time. You can think of it as 30 years of our experience poured into a single product to ensure your success. Now, it provides an important set of context. So by creating documents that say, here's my business strategy, here's what I want to do, it helps the CTO agent or the marketing officer agent do a much better job. So what we found is when you're in the coding agent, it's really helpful to tell you what the corporate strategy is. Makes sense, right? Would you ever have a developer just write a product without telling them why they're building it? So this idea of building context is really important. The last thing I want to comment on is things are happening so fast that this Compass product's actually running 24/7 in Azure looking for the latest things. A competitor somewhere in the Middle East has launched a product. There's a new innovation somewhere in London. You need to know all these things. And the job of a CEO and a business founder has now become a 24/7 job, and we're here to help. The last thing is we did build an integration layer on top of the current Azure components to try to solve 3 very difficult problems. And the first one is this hallucination problem. So we are very big in fintech, and we've adopted the 3 layers of defense strategy that is used for credit risk. So our Safe AI product, essentially, every agent is taught that at the end of what it produces, it's supposed to check its work. Right? It's a very simple idea that you want to always check your work. You tell your kids that, it should work for agents as well. The second thing is, there's, of course, a second audit agent that runs and looks at all of it, usually developed separately, to make sure it's all correct, and then you create an audit trail so you can check it all later. So these techniques that we use in the real world are just as important in this agentic world. The second thing is privacy. Where is my data going? So we have 3 strategies here. The first is we have a system that, with AI Foundry, which has tens of thousands of models, what is the best model for your problem, right? Remember, the cost of models can vary by 50 to 100x. So you can literally, it's literally the difference between a $300,000 bill and a $6,000 bill. Finding the right model for the application is very important. This gives us the flexibility to do on-premise deployment. So we don't have time for this demonstration, but we do integrate with Windows so that if you can run it locally, you can do all the work there and then pass it on to Azure for the bigger problems. So it's a very flexible system. The last thing is, I think in the last 90 days or so, it's become clear that us typing away writing agents is not going to work. So we've built a system that is a learning system that looks at the actual trace, e.g. everything that's happened, and says, how can I make that better? So that we're on the way to a self-learning system. And I guess I'm here to tell you today that is a really important innovation that I'm sure you'll hear more about that from Microsoft in a little bit of time. OK, I want to give you 2 examples of what we've done. So this is a real-life Know Your Customer application that we actually built for a Singaporean private wealth group. And it's interesting. This entire project took us about 4 weeks to build the prototype. AML, automatic money laundering, they're really hard. The systems are hardwired. And what this does is it actually builds a proprietary deep research tool. What you see here is, this is using China's Costco. It actually looks across hundreds of databases. It looks at Baidu, Yandex, everywhere else, and then says, let's build a easy to understand graph of the relationships of the different people right? Who owns what? Who owns what? So for instance, Sun Sun is the chairman. He's a state-owned enterprise, and it begins to write this report. Now, this is the kind of stuff where hallucinations would literally cause a huge catastrophe. So having these 3 lines of defense are very, very important. Also, it's interesting to note that these kinds of tools have to have very high degrees of privacy. So, and we have both a privacy system and an automated learning system that basically makes this kind of query better so that every bank can figure out who they're really dealing with. Another example that we're working on in small and medium business, because we think mass adoption is just not for the big enterprises, is this particular project. Now, the legal market is highly fragmented and highly regulated. This is in the United States, and users aren't technical. So we basically built this tool, which has the standard things, processing client data, so forth, that is using the agent systems that are built at Microsoft, but putting it in an easy-to-use format. And it's really important to realize that not everyone just wants to get the text box and start typing things. They need help. So on the left, what you'll see is the standard things you want to do, and in the center is a learning AI that's learning how a particular law firm works. And by deploying this very quickly, we think this can really help small and medium business. So just to finish, based on our Orion and Compass platform, we have a number of out-of-the-box solutions. Financial services, we're of course covering a lot. If any of you are interested in regulation or governance, we have built that product too. In fact, the product we built can actually read a government regulation and produce an AI agent that implements it. So all of you who have in the regulatory area, there's so many different rules, and it's really helpful to read those. By the way, we'll also tell you when regulations conflict, which can definitely happen. The third area we have is in operations. So we have applications in supply chain management, environmental impact, that private legal workstation, because we think that core operational part is very important. The last thing we're working on is what we call customer anticipation systems. These are classic call center systems. We're working on a project right now in India that will call out to various customers. It will, in real time, figure out what language you're speaking. In that particular world, there's a language called Hinglish, which is basically Hindu and English jammed together, and we'll do that locally. It actually runs on a single small Azure instance, so it's highly efficient. And what it does is it takes the 1 or 2% response rate that you typically get doing these calls, and it increases the productivity of a single operator by 100x, because you basically weed out all the other calls. So I guess the way I end is saying that I think this AI world is a very complicated world. Building applications is really complicated. It's not going to happen overnight, but hopefully if you have any questions, come to me and we can talk about it. We're happy to help anyone here. And I just want to give a shout out to our Microsoft friends that it's been a great platform to work on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we have a round of applause for Rich? We welcome you downstage. Thank you for wrapping up day 3 for us. And of course, this wraps the AI for Growth track here at the Beyond stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. On day 1, we were on the health and biomedical track. We talked about precision medicine and also quantum. Second day, we went right into AI and robotics and AI for materials. And this morning, we went into AI for growth. And we spent 3 amazing days together. I hope you learned a lot. If I may leave you with just one quote to remember, success is the sum of small day in and day out efforts. I wish you great success. I hope you learned. And of course, we're inspired by our wonderful speakers, curated specially for the Beyond stage. I want to say a very, very big thank you to Cindy, Christine from the Enterprise SG team for always putting the best speakers on the Beyond stage for you, always making the impossible possible. So before you go off today, I want to, of course, ask if you don't mind to show your appreciation for the hardworking crew behind Enterprise SG to make today possible. Can we please give them a very big round of applause here at the back, still working very hard. Thank you, Enterprise SG. What another great year together. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be clearing out the Beyond stage. So I'm going to invite you to join us outside. Slingshot is happening from 12:40 onwards. 12 exciting startups for you to enjoy this year. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, stay well. We hope to see you next year in 2026. With that, my name is Sue. See you next year.